So welcome back guys, my name is Amlan and in today's tutorial, which is yet another one for explain with examples, we are just going to learn more about headers sent, headers received when we make a call to some of our websites using any of our user agents. Well, I prefer Google Chrome, some may prefer Mozilla Firefox, and I really don't think many people prefer nowadays Internet Explorer as a user agent or a browser as we may call it. So first and foremost, just to give you an insight of what we shall be covering is we will be looking at a practical example of a site which is rediff.com. This is an Indian site, and looking at what headers are sent when we type the resource on the URL, and what are the headers which go and what are the headers which come back as Apache goes about doing its job. But like just to let you know how it all happens is obviously the project owner of any website first makes all his project files and then purchases a hosting plan, say with any of the popular hosting companies, maybe GoDaddy, maybe Blue, maybe One. There are so many of them. So all the files get stored in the server somewhere. So now when any of the users, including me or someone like you, types in that website, Rediff or Facebook or anything, like the browser sends or communicates that data to the web server Apache, who then, following the HTTP protocols, first understands the headers which have been sent and then combined with the content or the resource part like the facebook.com plus the headers, then it goes and establishes a connection with the server. Suppose that connections with the server are well established, then a server code 200 represents the fact, and then content is bought by Apache along with the response headers, which then comes to us in the form of content. So like the entire thing which happens, like like I type rediff.com inside Google Chrome. Right now it's getting communicated to Apache. It's already identified the server, and you can see the page has already loaded. As the page loads, if you look at the inspect element inside Google Chrome, you will look at there are lot many get requests which are actually going. So let me just reload this and you will see that this get request is basically, it is trying to bring in from the server the various scripts and everything which has been written along with it, the HTTP protocols are being followed, and as you see the resources being loaded, this is what it is. The status of 200 shows that a successful server connection has been established. So like when I say that, what I mean is basically successful server connection is established right here, and this is how Apache web server delivers the content to the website. But now having that in mind, let's, like, this is rediff.com. So behind the curtains, what headers go and what headers are received. Now what are headers? Headers are nothing but like the user agent properties which actually form a part of the request. Not only is this rediff.com the path, the content which we want to see, but along with it Apache also receives another headers, a few set of headers. So there is a site called as sniffer.net, and if you like type here the site, it lets you know what headers go and what headers come back. So we can see here that the request is a get because we are fetching data following the HTTP 1.1 protocols. The host is www.rediff.com because this is what we are actually asking for. So this is basically called the host. The connection is closed. It means maybe it's accepted and proper. The user agent is basically the browser, which is basically Google Chrome, but right now we are looking at it through a different site, websniffer.net, but otherwise it's Google Chrome. Encoding, character set, and cache control, they are all like different type of headers. Cache obviously means that no cache means the resources are scripted in such a manner that it should not be delivered from the browser memory, and every time call is made to the server, a fresh page is to be loaded. That is what it means. Language preference, except language is basically the header for the language preference. So we can see that it shall default to English here, and referrer is like we go to that site from which site, so it's being referred by websniffer.com. So these are the request headers which together along with the URL address form the total get request for the Apache web server. So Apache web server consists of all the headers combined with the URL and then establish a connection with the server. Let's assume for a moment that it's at GoDaddy, and now once it's established that connection, what it then brings in is some response headers as well. So 200 indicates that's a successful connection to that GoDaddy server. Content encoding is basically zip format, like it can be zipped or compressed or like those formats. Content length is basically how much lines of data, like how much megabytes perhaps. I'm actually not clear on this one. Content type, what type of data is being rendered. So it's HTML data which is being rendered by the document. It's today's date. The connection has been closed. So profitable. So sorry, not profitable. I don't know what I meant there. Connection has been successful, and it's accepting encoding as well. So these are different type of headers which are coming along with the content. So the response headers plus the content form what is delivered, and this content what you see right here is basically this markup which you see here. Because if I just do a view page source, I'll just do it here. So it will take some time perhaps, but you see all this is basically the markup. So this is the same thing, the markup, like when you look at it, the page, it renders, the browser uses that markup to output this, like this document what you're looking at here. So this forms a part of what Apache brings. It brings in the content plus the content headers, and it takes with it like the request headers along with the resource local resource file which is supposed to be bought. So that was like here. Okay, so hopefully this tutorial just explains a practical example of understanding the request headers as well as the response headers and what the role of Apache is. So just to shortly summarize, when we put a resource address in the URL bar, that along with the request headers form the total request which is given to Apache. Then Apache establishes a connection with the server, and then it like when it establishes the connection 200, which indicates a successful connection to the server, it brings in response headers plus the content gets displayed to us like this, and something which is not getting displayed to us but it forms a part of the response are response headers. So hopefully this tutorial makes sense. Until next time, it's me, Amlan, signing off for the day. Thank you.